welcome to the channel. Yes, today is 4/3/2024, and at the time of this recording, this rapid review that would be to say, this is the P-47D Razorback. It is an Aeroplane Heaven aircraft that literally just came out, to my reckoning, and I thought that I would give it a shot. I've always wanted to bring an Aeroplane Heaven Warbird to the channel, but I was not able to do so much with the P-51 Mustang because of the sounds in it. I did not feel that that would be showcased very well, considering it has already been reviewed numerous times by regularly popular channels. So I figured this is the perfect excuse. Why not? It's brand new at the time of the video, and I just want to check it out with you here. So thanks for joining me at AOK Games. And I have to say, of course, as always, exteriorly, yes, the textures are important, I believe, to the simulation quality. I like the patina, as they call it, right? You have the landing gear there. You've got some of these presumable oil stains, of course, in the landing bay wheel well. There's all a bunch of, textured rivets, of course. You've got less than a brand new factory fresh aircraft here, which is really cool to see. I like the World War II Warbird essentially featured as a piece of used equipment for sure, because let's not forget the significance of some of these aircraft, if not all of them, in terms of their significance in aviation and, quite frankly, world history. Their performance is that of legend. We're going to explore that today. So about the numbers, we're looking at here a double Wasp R2800 radial engine. Now this one's unique in that it has turbocharging. So a lot of aircraft use single or dual stage superchargers, but this one is a turbocharger. Now, what does that mean? We're looking at approximately 2,000 horsepower with a range of anywhere between 740 nautical miles plus. But here's the thing. The aircraft will go to almost 42,000 feet, which for a propeller, gasoline-powered aircraft is quite remarkable. We're talking about altitudes far higher than most modern aviation commercial airliners go, right? So, I have to say, exteriorly, the textures are cool. I want to hop on board and show you something else. Let's go on and hop over there. I'll show you what I mean. So if we go on the inside, this is also going to include some really cool removal of panels here. We'll hop back outside to the showcase, and I'll get that out of your way. And it actually, speaking of showcases, gives you the panel removal, obviously, for this beautiful 2800. That's 2800 cubic inches, of course, 18 cylinders, constant speed propeller here. And this aircraft has also been touted as having simplified characteristics on ground handling for the takeoff, roll, and landing. So we're going to experience that, hopefully. That's also a very nice feature if you're looking to get into a Warbird, but you're not interested in the hassle of, the tail dragger scenario where you spin out on landing, so on and so forth, can't maintain the center line. That's definitely not supposed to be as much of an issue here. And we will go back inside, close that panel up, and let me get this plane prepped, closed up, and ready for the interior view evaluation. Be right back. Alright, now that we got it all closed up on the exterior model there for the cowling, this aircraft comes with some pretty neat features I've found so far. This little button here is the options menu, and you can pull up if you want to have your fairings, your gun sights, your GPS, your pilot model. Let me just demonstrate that, right? You got that. Of course, you got your pylons. You've got your center tanks. Let's go back outside and check those out so you can see exactly what that looks like. Added fuel, so on and so forth. Very nice. They are modeled well, of course, textured just as well. So we'll go back inside. I'm not going to fly with the extra weight today, so we will remove those. Let me zoom out. Of course, you've got the Microsoft Flight Simulator gun sight, obviously non-functional. But you've got GPS here, and you can change those however your preference. I do believe they actually fire, at least quote simulated fire. The thing is, this is from the sim marketplace, so if you are getting this at a later date and it's essentially the version from the Microsoft Flight Simulator store, it will not have that feature for sure, so just keep that in mind. What's nice is, as always, looking for buttons, clickables, exterior model open as well, nice with the canopy. We've got circuit breakers down here. They are not poppable or usable, at least at the time of this video. We've got lights here, and by the way, of course, the buttons, I have the labeling on so that you can see, just as I can, what's going on here with the kind of buttons and manipulations that we are able to commandeer as we fly this seemingly pretty well textured interior as well. Of course, oxygen, radio, that's, you know, if you see here, you click that button, doesn't matter which one of the ones you click, it's the oxygen as well as the radio stack. They kind of go back and forth, of course. So that's just something to keep in mind. We're not going to be using air traffic control today, so that's all good. Tail wheel lock on the tail dragger makes sense. Recognition lights, red and green and amber. Non-clickable contactor heat, all good. But I mean, in general, you can see as well as I can, I'm sure these dated, worn looks, they're nice. As I said, patina, it works. So let's go ahead and prepare for the next stage. We'll get taxiing out and we'll fire it up and we'll head out and see how it flies. Be right back for you, sir. Alright, and just like that, we are dealing with 2,000 horsepower, 18 cylinders of gas-guzzling power here from World War II. Let's go ahead and get the traditional approach to these engines going. So mixture, of course, full. We'll throw the propeller full forward. There's something that I want to note for you guys. As of now, we'll take off, and what I've noticed for takeoff is I like to dial this rudder trim with the R approximately at maybe like the 2, 3 o'clock p.m. here position. And with that R rotating for the rudder, it helps us also take off in more of a straight line, even though it's simplified controls. In theory, this works. Now, I'll discuss how you trim the aircraft out. As I found, I have my aileron trim connected by hotkey, of course, to my at least Airbus side stick controller, and it does not work with the aileron trim. No matter how many hotkeys I press, can't get it to work. But once we're airborne, I'll show you exactly what I mean, and it is a remedy that you can implement really, really easily. So we're going to throw the fuel selector on. I'm going to leave the canopy open there so that we can get some sweet noises. Of course, there's a boost lever there. Since this can almost go to 42,000 feet almost, we can use the turbocharger lever here to keep the aircraft powered up with all that upper deck pressure for the manifold. So that's all good. First thing I want to do is bring on the battery. No juice, no fire. Magnetos, we're going to switch right to both. However, in the real world, there would be possibly, depending on how long this aircraft is sat, on the bottom cylinders of a radial, you would absolutely have to cycle the engine over without firing it so that you don't hydraulic lock the motor or bend the connecting rods, things of that nature. So that's just something to keep in mind. Let's go ahead and hit the primer. I'm going to go for a 5-shot. Or thereabouts. We are flying out of the Dillingham airfield today, out in Hawaii. Just across the island here from Pearl Harbor. So how appropriate for a World War II era aircraft. So the way that I've figured out is I'm going to go ahead and use my Airbus throttle quadrant here to just tap open maybe just a smidge of throttle there. And then let's go ahead and energize the starter. And give it a good old whack of that for a moment. And then I just casually go till I see the up arrow, click, click, and hold. And there's your flight off. Let's go outside and hear some sounds, huh? animations rather on that spinning prop. Very nice. Let's close these canopies, this canopy up here, and let's go ahead and taxi this out. And when we're ready for takeoff, I'll go ahead and take off for you. Be right back. Okay, so a couple things to note right before we line up for the active. Sound quality, right? I feel like I notice a little bit more of a quieting effect while you close the canopy. So it's always nice to see that added effect. So another thing we're going to demonstrate here today is the easy ground roll for takeoff. And what I would like to do with that is show you that the tail wheel is in fact not locked, right? So forward to lock, aft to steer. Cool. So normally you would have an abundance of steering, right? I mean, we're talking about 2,000 horsepower with 18 cylinders. The torque effect on this aircraft engine would literally want to spin this aircraft end over end, left to right, right to left, however you would, whatever suits your fancy. It's a lot of torque. That's my point. Whatever. So let's taxi out, and I'll show you just how easy this goes on takeoff. Of course, that big honking piece of metal up front making all that sweet noise reminds me of an old muscle car. And by the way, these are all default sensitivities, so there's nothing special going on here. I'm going to pull up to about half power. Probably a little bit of right-hand rudder. So far, I'm barely putting any input in. We are accelerating straight down the center line almost. So there's that right. Tail wheel lifts off. And then it's easily correctable. So you just lift right off, nice and easy. I'll apply a little bit more power now that we are airborne. And I'm going to raise the gear. And raise the flaps. Currently at about 40 on the manifold pressure knob there, gauge, steam gauge rather. World War II in full effect here. Let's go outside and listen. Pilot head there in the pilot in command position, of course. This is a very, very large, sturdy aircraft built for combat. So here's what I wanted to show you. We're clean and clear here. I have not mucked about with the rudder controls. We're still at about between 2 and 3 on the position there. So the way you do this is I have not changed any of my hotkeys or anything for the keyboard. You hold down the control, and then you're going to use the number keys to center out your flying, because this aircraft has a tendency with all this torque to literally try to lower the left wing and raise the right wing. So I am using the control key and the number pad 4 and the number pad 6 correspondingly left and right. I'm also using my elevator control to lift this up so that it does not climb nor fall. And what you're essentially doing here is, if you look at see that control stick there? That's me with the control button and the number pad. So rather than mucking about with all this torque, you can set it. If you fly helicopters, you're probably very familiar with this, so that torque roll does not become overly disastrous. You can fly essentially hands off. Naturally, the more power you have, the harder this would be. So we're climbing now at approximately 2,000 plus foot a minute with our P-47 Razorback here, 2,000 horsepower. We're losing our density altitude with our air though, so what I want to do is bring this aircraft up to 42,000 feet, and I want to check out its performance. See what that's like, essentially, at high altitude. So, we'll get up there, and I'll continue the review. Be right back. Okay, and welcome back. Yes, indeed, this is 42,000 40,000 feet right there, and as you can see, directly under the Garmin GPS, next to our left and right hand turn coordinator there, we are approximately doing 150 knots indicated, but that is at 40,000 plus feet, so we're clearly going true airspeed a lot faster than that, ground speed a lot faster than that. Of course, this plane is capable of doing 400 miles an hour plus, if my statistics serve me correctly, and we can go higher, but you might notice down here we're looking at the manifold pressure, essentially 25, so we've lost a lot of that sea level horsepower, of course, due to this altitude being as extreme as it is, but we are maintaining an airspeed and climbing, so we certainly have plenty of power. Another thing to state is that it does have intercooler and oil doors for cooling, so that is something that you absolutely do have another functionality button pressing situation with. Let's go outside and just take a look at 40,000 plus feet. I think it sounds actually really good. That would be a stark contrast to the Aeroplane Heaven P-51 standard sounds, at least still at the time of this recording video. So that being said, I approve of the sounds for sure. The flight model is, at this altitude, is very sensitive. I have not messed with, as I said, my sensitivity curves or anything like that. But let's go ahead and line it up on final approach, and I guess I'll give my opinion to my final analysis here on the rapid review. Be right back, eh? Okay, we are coming down more so than not into our final approach here, and I'm just going to demonstrate, of course, the intercooler and the oil doors do function. You can see they also have the corresponding indicators in terms of their current position, full close to full open. And we're going to open those bad boys up just so that we can get a little bit of flow through them as we reach the ground. We don't have the airstream slipping over the gauges. So that being said, we are on final here, and I'm at idle, so we'll bring our boost of our turbocharger down there. I would like to throw in some flaps and get in a final approach with you here at A-OK. Of course, thank you for joining me with this hopefully rapid review. And while we're at it, to bleed off some airspeed, let's go ahead and just do some little bit of aerobatics here. Very controllable, as I would expect an extremely heavy aircraft to be. And there's our Dillingham airfield. Of course, I stated final approach, but no ATC. What do we care? And let's go ahead and flip that gear down. Alright, quite satisfactory animations in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and get these flaps extended, that way we can fly with increased power but added lift. And you can see there's quite a bit of flap out there. Let's go ahead and check that animation out. Excellent. And just trimming for neutral flight. So hope everybody's doing good. I am expecting within, well, the next 2 weeks to several months, there should be some really cool DLC coming out. This is pretty cool in itself, but it's going to be an exciting, expensive time very soon. So stay tuned to the channel for hopefully what's coming soon. And what I like about this is the fact that you can power up this 18-cylinder engine and literally not be whipped all around by the P factor, the torque of the engine. It's there, but with that control number pad trick, it works out quite well for us, and it is manageable for sure. See how this goes. Of course, the tail wheel is indeed still unlocked. Simplified ground mechanics for handling, and hopefully just as much. This will be my actual first approach. No joking there. I've flown it just to make sure it starts and flies before video, but I have not actually landed it. So here goes nothing. Just gonna give a little bit of power in there due to those giant flaps. All that drag they presumably create. And just going to manipulate the differential brakes here while attacking the rudder at the same time. A little bit off center, but that's okay. You know, for a 10,000 plus pound plane with half empty fuel tanks, as we started with 50%, got to 42,000 feet, well, a little bit less, 40,000 plus, we'll leave it at that. And coming in a little bit lighter on that fuel. Let's see here. Yup, not much burnt off, but regardless, any landing you can walk away from is theoretically a good landing. Although it might not be pretty for those tourists on vacation coming out here to Dillingham. Want to see some real action, watch me land a plane. That's always exciting. Right for sunset as well. So ground taxi as well. The landings are certainly manageable, especially for a noob like me. The package in general, I like it. I wasn't sure with the sounds from the P-51 version this software developer had. I wasn't sure what this would sound like. And if you're going to have a P-47, it has to have sounds. If you do any plane, it's got to have sounds, or the immersion is broken. Regardless, let's go shut it down, and I'll be right back. Okay, and there's that instantaneous cut for you viewers out there. Let's open this up a little bit here and get some fresh air for the pilot. And I'll leave the flaps down just for a moment. Go outside, we can see a closer up of that so that you can get a view for what that's like, animation-wise, of course. Take the opportunity to turn the parking brake on. And we won't let it idle for too long, although I do not believe at this time, at least in the video, there is any actual engine failures or anything like that. But it's okay. We're just going to pretend like we don't want to burn up the engine on the ground sitting here idling. So those come up slowly, but we're going to pull the mixture back. Good sounds. Okay, so my final rapid review take on this. Oh, look at that. You turn the battery off and the pilot disappears, so he's not pretending like he's sitting in there forever. And then there he is again. That's cool. Magic. So there are a whole bunch of different liveries with this you can check out. I got this from Sim Market again for $35 off sale, brand new, 4/3/2024. It's nice. I like it. It sounds good. If you're looking for a warbird that doesn't require rocket science to control on the ground with rudder inputs and sensitivity adjustments and this, that, and the other thing, I feel like this is an approachable package. Yes, $35 is a bit of money, of course, for sure. But the ease of access and the exterior details, of course, Aeroplane Heaven have provided here for us simmers it's nice. It's very nice. So, that being said, would I recommend it? I do believe so. I do believe so. Yes, it's not study level. That's okay. That's okay. A lot of the study level stuff, do we actually press the buttons for the engine fires? I don't. I like the study level, but I never really institute that into my gameplay. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it's better information for you in case you want to purchase this. If you could, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get 50 viewers at the time of this video. Maybe do some live stream, something like that. Anyhow, we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.